everyone, and welcome back to the Chill Survival series. Today we're going to build an automatic sugarcane farm so we can get lots of paper for trading and books. We have a big project ahead of us today, so let's get started. So one of the issues I noticed when we were working on our last couple of projects was the lack of sugarcane we have around here. The stuff we have planted hasn't really been growing fast enough for the amount that we need. And even if we don't necessarily need it for our upcoming projects, I think it would be good to start gathering a large supply for when we do. But in order to get an automated system going, we're going to need a few components in order for it to work. We have an okay supply of redstone, but this farm is going to require some hoppers and we don't really have enough iron to make all of them. But it's a good thing that this cave underneath us has a large iron deposit so we can easily get some. But first, I think it would be wise for us to grab a bow and arrow for the caves. Luckily, we have a big ol' stash of them here from the spawner. We are going to have to make a nicer bow eventually, but these free ones will do for now. Alright, I've got everything I need, so let's go exploring these caves. Oof, I did not light it up that well the last time I was here, did I? Ooh, iron. Alright, let's grab some of this coal to make some torches because I cannot see a thing. And I'm just gonna grab a little bit more before we hit deep slate levels because you can't find that much coal that far down. Alright, we've got a good amount of torches, so down we go. Except you're blocking my path, buddy. Yeah, there's a ton of iron that we can scoop up. This is awesome. Plus, we're going to get so much more because we have fortune on our pick. I'm also going to make sure we grab a bit more redstone because I'm not exactly sure how much we have at our base. Literally everywhere I turn there's a big pocket of iron, which is great because honestly I didn't really want to set up an iron farm just yet. Alright, I haven't been down here yet, so this place might be infested with mobs. Oh my gosh! Alright, let's take this newly enchanted sword for a spin. Yeah, I would say it's doing the job. Let's also grab some gold while we're here because it will definitely be useful for us down the line. Yes, diamonds. Ooh, there's a lot of mobs around here. We need to be careful. Huh? Oh no, I angered an enderman. I didn't even stare at you. Oh no. No, oh, that was close. All right, yeah, that's a lot of mobs here. Well, I have quite a bit of stuff. I have 2 stacks of iron, a couple diamonds, some redstone. I think we've got more than enough of what we need. Plus, there seems to be a lot of mobs everywhere, so I think that's my cue to get out of here. Ah, it feels good to be back up on the surface. I should probably make a cute little cave entrance from here too sometime, but that's a job for another day. Alright, let's get this iron burning and everything else put away. So we are going to need some materials from the nether for some of our redstone devices. But before we do that, I think we should pick out the spot where this farm is going to go and get some of the structure built up. And I think we should definitely keep this build closer to the farmland. Now I want to eventually get crops and a windmill maybe somewhere up on that hill there. And over by the barn, I think we should keep some space clear for a couple more builds for the other animals. So I was thinking that the best spot for this thing would maybe be between the barn and the mining area, just on the edge of this forest right here. Yeah, I think having it here will kind of help connect the 2 parts of our base a little bit more. So now that we have a good spot picked out, it's time for us to fix up this terrain a bit. But before we get to terraforming, I think it's finally time for us to get a diamond shovel so we're not constantly breaking iron ones. We have the levels to spend, so we might as well. Okay, not bad. I'll take it, I'll take it. This is gonna make our lives so much easier. Oh yeah, this is way better. It's cutting through it like butter, baby. Let's get rid of some of these trees so I can patch up this hole. There we go. I think that's a good amount of space for this build. Now we just need to grab all of our building materials. We have plenty of spruce and dark oak, so I think we're good for those. And the one material I'm a little bit short on that I'm gonna need is granite. So we just gotta collect a little bit more and then we should be good. And since we're already here, let's grab a little bit more andesite. Alright, I think we should be good with all these materials now. So let's start things off by laying down an 11 by 13 footprint made of granite and polished granite. And I'm just gonna pop out the middle pieces on both sides for our entrances. And then we'll finish off the walls by building them up 4 high in total. Next, let's place some beams to give this structure some more shape and dimension. And then of course, let's get these pieces of spruce stripped. There, that's looking really good so far. And I think the color of the granite works with the beams really well. So now that the walls are done, let's get our roof up. I'm gonna go with a dark oak trim because I think it really pops with the granite and spruce we've been using. And for the roof shape, I'm going to use slabs with a couple of stairs every so often so the roof slowly curves up. Yeah, that's exactly the shape I was looking for. I think it fits in nicely with the farmland aesthetic. I'm going to keep this roof pretty simple and just fill it in with some spruce. However, I'm going to make some dark oak trims run down the middle wherever there's a beam underneath just to break up the spruce a little bit. We can always add in some more details to this later, but I also don't mind keeping this roof design more minimal. Now that the roof has been put up, we can extend these beams so they join up with them. So I think it would look pretty cool if we stopped the granite wall there and kept the upper part of this build more open. To make this look more intentional, I'm going to put a spruce trim running along the top of the wall to give a more clear separation. You can see the difference that trim made in making this feel a lot more complete. Now let's just repeat that trim pattern up on the top as well, and I think that's looking really good. Last but not least, let's add some decorative fencing to the open part of the wall to give it a little bit more shape and texture. And that's it for the structure. I think this fits really nicely into our farmland in terms of design and palette. So now that we have the building in place, we can put in our sugarcane farm. But in order to make some of those redstone components, there is a key item we're missing, which is quartz. And I think you know where we have to get that from. We're just gonna be in and out, quick and easy. That's it. Or at least I hope. Alright, I think the best bet is just to stay in this forest and find like a netherrack wall or something. There's some behind this portal, so let's go up this tree and take a look around here. Oh, there's some right there. That's perfect. And I think this dude's coming after me. I thought it would be best to just keep my distance. Ooh, free pork and leather. Nice. Alright, let's grab up as much of this quartz as we can so we don't have to make a trip back here for a while. Don't mind if I do. And I think I'm gonna avoid grabbing this gold for now because there are some piglins around. I don't want to upset them and get into a confrontation. So we have a stack and a bit right now, and I think that should be more than enough for what we need. Alright, let's head home. So with all the quartz we got, we're able to make the observers that we need for this farm. So let's start by putting in the blocks that will contain the auto sugarcane farm. Next, let's put in the rails for the hopper minecart that's going to be collecting our sugarcane. Then we just need to put in a string of hoppers that will connect to a chest that we can easily access. These hoppers will feed the sugarcane from the cart to the chest. And I'm just going to replace this dirt with some moss because I think it'll look nicer. Then we have to fill this in with some water so the sugarcane can grow. We'll pop down our sugarcane, and then we'll place down all of our redstone components that's going to harvest the sugarcane for us. Lastly, let's fill it in with some glass to keep the sugarcane contained when it breaks. And that's it for the actual farm itself. Now let's build a little structure around it so the build doesn't look so flat. So we'll toss up some beams in front of it. And then we'll put a trim along the front here so we can get some decorations on it later. I think a trim running along the top to divide the wall up would look good as well. And then finally, let's decorate this upper section with some wood trim to match the other parts. Yeah, now that these wood trims have been put in, you can really see the design come together. I'm also really happy with the decision to make it more open concept so you can easily run through it from one end to the other. It's gonna make quickly gathering our sugarcane nice and easy. So now that the interior is built up, it's time for us to run a path through it. And to keep everything as one style, I'm gonna stick to a dirt path for now. Eventually I would love to switch this up to something a little bit nicer, but I think it's good to keep some consistency around the base so things don't look too out of place. And don't mind me, I just realized I needed quite a bit more gravel to make some coarse dirt for the edge of these paths. Luckily we've been doing tons of terraforming, so we definitely have no short supply of dirt. So I'm just gonna go along and replace the grass along the edges, including in the sugarcane farm as well. Plus, this build is within the farmland, so we do want it looking a little bit more rough in some spots. Our diamond shovel is looking pretty rough after all of that. It unfortunately doesn't have unbreaking on it, so it is going to degrade faster, but the good thing is we have access to mending books now, so at least we can repair it. Alright buddy, I'm going to grab another one of these off of ya. And let's get some mending on this thing so at least we can do some repairs when it gets low. And let's name you Lil Spoon. Yeah. Okay, let's make a quick trip to our XP farm to get this thing healed up. There we go, good as new. Now that our tools are in good condition again, let's get back to decorating this exterior. I just noticed that I had forgotten to finish off this trim by adding trapdoors to the bottom, so let's get those added in. I want to add some shrubs to the outside, but I'm pretty much all out of birch and azalea leaves, so let's get some of those as well. Oh no, what have I done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. No. Okay, they're still coming after me. Oh, wait, they're not angry anymore. Okay, this is fine. Crisis averted, so let's get ourselves some azalea leaves. Now that we've got our leaves, let's place some shrubs near our entrance. There, that's looking good. So the space around the farm is kind of lacking some personality. I think placing a couple ponds at the front of the build that's facing the barn could look really cool. So the ponds are going to go on either side of the path, but I'm going to make them slightly different shapes so they look more organic. Yeah, I think the placement of these is perfect. Terraforming the pond can be a little bit tedious, but I think it's always worth going the extra mile to fill in the bottom of it with an array of blocks. I most often use mossy cobbles, sand, coarse dirt, and any other block you would likely find at the bottom of a pond. I also always make sure to extend these blocks to the edge of the pond so it blends in with the landscape as well. And now we just have the painful task of filling this all in with water. One of the best things I've learned recently is that planting and bone mealing kelp will make the water go still so it's not flowing around everywhere. I have no idea how it works, but it's such a good trick. Alright, the texturing around the pond is looking really good, but it's all still looking a little bit too flat. So I'm going to place some things like shrubs, fencing, and rock piles to bring in a little bit more height around the area. Alright, and here's the front of our build with the ponds in place, and I think that this is looking fantastic. It's just enough detail that it stands out, but I think it will also blend in really nicely with the rest of the farmland we'll be putting up around it. So for the other side of the build, I thought about putting in some more ponds, but I think it might be a little bit too repetitive. I'm thinking that on this side we should keep it a little bit more simple by just bone mealing some grass and getting a couple trees planted around the build. Yeah, I think this is nice and simple, but it does the job. So now that we have a decent supply of iron, I think I can finally spare some for some lanterns. So let's get some of these placed on some light posts around here. I also placed some walls in the water earlier so we can pop in some lighting around the pond as well. I feel like having some hanging from the decorative fencing above would look really cool too. Yeah, I think that's looking really good. So then we definitely need some lighting in here as well, because it's a little bit too dark. And lastly, we'll get some posts on the other side of the build as well. Alright, I think in terms of lighting, that is perfect. Except I think I might move this one because it's like directly in eyesight, which looks a little bit awkward. So if we move it just off to the side, maybe a little bit more, possibly here instead. I think that's a little bit better, just because it looked a little bit strange with the direct line of sight right there. Yeah, I think for lighting, that's perfect. Now we don't really need to go too heavy on the decorations in here, but I think it does need a little bit more greenery. So let's go gather up some more clay for some flower pots. Oh no, I forgot this shovel had silk touch. No! Oh. I mean, that'd be good for terracotta, but not for what we need right now. It's alright, we'll grab this by hand instead. It's kind of wild walking around and slowly seeing this base start to take shape. These last couple of builds that we've placed have made such a difference to the farmland already. Alright, let's get this clay burning for some bricks. And now we can just place some here and there so we can get some good pops of color with our flowers. I think some azalea planters would also add some extra color up top, but also a little bit more texture as well. And last but not least, let's add some barrels in up top for some extra storage. And I think that's looking pretty good. I wanted to keep the decorations a little bit more simple, just add a couple of pops of color here and there, but I still wanted the primary focus to be on the farm itself because I think it looks pretty cool. And I think we did a really good job of that. So this thing's been running while we've been decorating, and you know what? It's collected quite a bit so far. And that's what we've ended up with even after we've pulled from there to make some books earlier. Plus, this thing is probably going to be running most of the time because we'll usually be within render distance of it. So I think we're going to get quite a bit of sugarcane out of this. I'm really happy with how this build has turned out and how it fits into the landscape of our base. I still really love the fact that you can just walk through it on both sides. Not only does this serve as a farm, but it feels like it also serves as a pathway connection between the farmland and our mining area. So hopefully we'll be using it a lot to access certain points of our base as well. Alright everybody, I think that's going to be it for today's episode. I had a ton of fun trying to figure out how to make a sugarcane farm look cool, and I think we did a pretty good job of it. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing because it really helps out the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.